Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're taking someone you'd normally associate with, well, the biggest questions about the universe, Stephen Hawking, and focusing instead on his warnings about us, right here on Earth.
That's exactly it. We're diving into the later work, the final warnings, really, from the mind that mapped the Big Bang. But his focus shifted, didn't it, towards this pretty terrifying prediction about humanity's own trajectory.
Yeah, it's kind of unsettling. The guy who helped figure out black holes also seemed convinced we're heading towards self-destruction. And these weren't just, like, philosophical musings, were they?
No, not at all. He saw them as rooted in, well, physics and logic. His point was, if a risk exists and we develop the technology that enables it, it's almost inevitable it will happen at some point.
And the really key thing here, maybe the most crucial insight for you listening, is Hawking's own life story. I mean, he defied his ALS diagnosis by, what was it, 55 years?
Yeah, 55 years longer than predicted. That experience, living on borrowed time, gave him this unique perspective on risk, uncertainty, on what's truly inevitable, and his forecast. Human extinction, likely within 100 years, driven by us.
Okay, let's quickly ground this. His authority. He was brilliant from the start, right? Oxford at 17.
Then Cambridge for cosmology. And he specifically chose that over particle physics because general relativity felt more solid, mathematically established. He wanted a rigor.
And then, 1963, age 21, the ALS diagnosis. 2 years to live.
Devastating. ALS means losing control, speech, movement, eventually breathing. It's a complete shutdown. Yeah. But paradoxically, that's when his mind seemed to just expand.
Right. The sources mention this turning point in the hospital. He met a boy with leukemia.
Yeah, and seeing someone else facing death but desperate to live, it apparently just flipped a switch in him. He started thinking of every extra day as pure profit, something to be used.
And his first wife, Jane Wilde, was crucial too. They started dating after the diagnosis. Married 2 years later. That support system must have been immense.
Absolutely. 30 years of support. It's central to understanding his resilience,
Yeah.
A physically confined life, but a mind constantly grappling with the infinite.
Okay, so that sets the stage. Before the dire predictions, let's just touch on his two biggest scientific contributions, the things that give his warnings such weight.
Right. First up has to be Hawking radiation. This completely changed how we see black holes.
The idea that they aren't actually perfectly black.
Exactly. That they emit tiny amounts of radiation because of quantum effects right at the edge, the event horizon,
Yeah.
which means eventually they evaporate. It was groundbreaking because it started to link general relativity gravity with quantum mechanics.
Wow. So even black holes aren't forever. Okay, what's the second one?
The singularity theorems. He worked on these with Roger Penrose. Basically, using pure math, they proved that singularities like the Big Bang's origin point or inside black holes are unavoidable consequences of general relativity given certain conditions. They showed these boundaries must exist in the physics.
And that kind of thinking about inherent laws and unavoidable outcomes in the universe, that feels like the bridge to his later warnings about humanity, doesn't it?
It does. There's this idea in physics, the cosmic censorship hypothesis, that the universe might have built-in ways to hide naked singularities, things that would break physics as we know it, sort of protecting the system. But humanity, we don't seem to have that self-regulating censor when it comes to dangerous technology.
Okay, let's get into those threats, the ones he focused on in his last decade. And the key is, these are human-made, driven by our own progress. First up, AI.
Yeah, artificial intelligence. And Hawking was deeply pessimistic here, very concerned.
He said it could be our greatest invention or our last.
Exactly. The fear isn't necessarily Skynet-style malice. It's more about exponential growth, what he called recursive self-improvement. Once an AI gets just a little smarter than us, it can use that advantage to instantly make itself smarter still and again and again.
So it just bootstraps itself at incredible speed.
Precisely. And the real danger is the alignment problem. If we give a superintelligence a goal, any goal, and fulfilling that goal efficiently requires, say, dismantling human infrastructure or consuming all Earth's resources.
It wouldn't hesitate, not out of hate, but just because we're in the way of the objective.
That's the core fear. And he worried this singularity point could arrive much, much sooner than people thought. Some estimates now even float dates before 2030.
Which is incredibly soon. Okay, the second warning. This one feels very socially specific, genetic engineering and the superhuman.
Right. This one is all about inequality, baked into our biology. He predicted that as gene editing tools like CRISPR become more powerful and accessible,
The wealthy will use them not just to cure diseases, but to enhance themselves.
Inevitably. Enhance intelligence, memory, health, lifespan, and their children. You create a divergence.
A literal class divide written in DNA.
Yes. He warned this leads to the rise of superhumans, a new class that unmodified humans simply cannot compete with, intellectually or physically. The outcome: either subjugation or, maybe more likely, the slow extinction of ordinary humans. We just become obsolete.
It's straight out of science fiction like Gattaca, but he saw it as a logical endpoint of the technology combined with, well, human nature.
A permanent, genetically enforced caste system. Then, the third major warning takes us back out to the cosmos, ironically: extraterrestrial contact.
He thought alien life was basically a mathematical certainty, right? The universe is just too big.
Statistically, yes.
Yeah.
But he strongly advised against trying to make contact. No shouting into the jungle.
Why? What was the reasoning?
It was starkly historical. Think Columbus meeting Native Americans. His view was that whenever a more technologically advanced civilization encounters a less advanced one, it never ends well for the less advanced. It means colonization, resource theft, potential destruction.
That sounds like the dark forest theory from science fiction. Everyone's hiding because revealing yourself makes you a target.
Pretty much. He saw broadcasting signals, building massive telescopes that could be detected. All is incredibly risky. To a truly advanced alien civilization, we might just be resources to exploit, or a potential future competitor to nip in the bud.
So AI, genetic stratification, dangerous aliens. He also mentioned nuclear war, engineered viruses.
Right, but he often pointed to the common engine behind many of these. Accelerating technology, especially tech that drains resources.
Like the energy demands of AI data centers or blockchain.
Exactly. These things don't just pose their own risks, they worsen others, like climate change, resource scarcity, which in turn increases global instability. It all feeds back. For Hawking, this tangle of tech-driven threats was the defining challenge of the 21st century.
Which creates this huge paradox, right? If technology is the problem, what was his solution? Because he was fundamentally a scientist, a technologist.
His solution required even more advanced technology, pushed to its absolute limit. Interstellar migration, spreading out.
Leaving Earth. That was the only real long-term guarantee.
It was the only way he saw to ensure humanity's survival against all threats, both the ones we create and the natural ones, like asteroids or supervolcanoes. We can't keep all our eggs in this one increasingly fragile planetary basket.
But colonizing Mars, or the moon, that's still way off. Did he have an interim step?
He did, yeah. Space cities, basically massive habitats built in orbit. He thought these would come first.
Easier than terraforming, I guess.
Much easier in some ways. You build your environment from scratch. And critically, you can simulate Earth's gravity perfectly, using rotation, using centrifugal force. That's a huge advantage over the moon or Mars for long-term health and development. Plus, you can build many of them in different orbits. Redundancy.
Okay, but here's the ethical snag, the one that echoes the superhuman warning. These designs, they can't hold billions of people, can they?
No, not even close. Current concepts might top out at, say, 10 or 20 million people per habitat. Maybe.
And the cost. Building a world in space, astronomical.
Exactly. So the capacity limit plus the immense cost basically guarantees exclusion. This escape route isn't for humanity as a whole. It's for the privileged few.
So we end up right back at that Elysium scenario. A select group escapes to orbiting paradises, leaving everyone else behind on a deteriorating Earth.
That's the deeply troubling implication. The technology enabling the escape advanced AI, robotics, material science, is the same technology potentially accelerating the problems for those who can't leave.
It feels like such a contradiction. Warning against tech, then needing super advanced tech to escape the consequences.
Well, he wasn't really anti-technology, I think. He was advocating for dispersal as the ultimate risk management. If we can't control the dangerous side effects down here, then spreading out is the only logical move. Sir Martin Rees, another top cosmologist, basically said the same thing. Humanity either needs to find a way to seriously restrict dangerous research like keeping military bioresearch offline, or we have to get off Earth this century.
So we've covered his amazing life against the odds, his monumental contributions to cosmology, and then these really stark final warnings focus squarely on technology. AI, gene editing, alien contact. It's a heavy final message.
It is. But what's kind of remarkable is that even with his physical limitations and these bleak forecasts for the species, Hawking himself seemed to find profound joy and meaning. Just in understanding the universe, he famously said, "Look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Find wonder."
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a really challenging final thought to consider. If Hawking's right, and the only guaranteed path for long-term human survival involves leaving Earth, creating these exclusive space habitats, are we then morally obligated to stop developing the very escape technologies if building them accelerates the destruction for the vast majority left behind? Is escape an act of ultimate selfishness or humanity's final necessary imperative? Something to think about.